Hello everyone, and welcome back to Banjo Tooie on the Nintendo 64. I am one wild sheep yet again, and today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to continue onwards with the rest of Hailfire Peaks. Oh, the joys. And we're basically going to be finishing off this world once and for all in this part, ladies and gentlemen. And the first thing we're going to do as Banjo-Kazooie is actually, well, I save most of these kids. This one's gone, this one's dead, he's fucked. But we're gonna save as many of the alien kids as we physically can. And as you can probably guess by that dead alien kid, obviously in the previous part we used Mumbo Jumbo to revive the alien father. So we can basically use Mumbo Jumbo again to revive that child. So we'll do that pretty much a bit later on. But yeah, basically for the most part now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move out throughout the course of the stage, picking up this globo as well, because we'll need that for the transformation. And just finding all of the alien kids and sending them on their merry way. What can I tell you, ladies and gentlemen? What can I tell you? Indeed. Yes. And this is probably one of the easier and actually quicker side quests to do during the course of the game, because the aliens themselves are actually not that difficult to come across. They're not that difficult to find. They're basically, there's only like 3 of them in total, but they're littered in very obvious to find locations, you know, ladies and gentlemen. And even if you don't know where to find the alien kids, when you first get told, oh, find the kids, you get a little camera over on the areas where they could generally be, which can help you in terms of finding them and, you know, finding out your way towards them, you know, ladies and gentlemen, which I do appreciate. But, again, this is a very, very simple mission. You should not have any trouble with that. Speaking of which, it's time to move on over here, and it's time to snipe Saberman yonder, because if you recall, we basically rescued him. His head's clipping through that cap. We rescued him in the previous part. It was time to actually warm him up. Unfortunately, however, we don't... You want to go straight back to his home when we warm him up. He's gonna need a lift, if you will. Which is actually why I shot him from this far distance away, because as you can tell right behind me, there are 2 split-up pads. Simply put, you need to get Banjo to send him back on his merry way home. So, you know, snipe him from over here, split up to Banjo, and then grab him and be on your merry way. What can I tell you, ladies and gentlemen? What can I tell you? Indeed! Yes. I have to say as well, I know I've been gushing about the music, but something about this area with this this version of Hailfire Peaks, for some reason it sounds really creepy to me. I think it's something to do with like the mystical dee 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 sort of tune that goes along with the standard main overarching theme, if you know what I mean. I don't know, it's just, it sounds kind of creepy at points, and I don't exactly know whether it's just me or if I'm crazy. I could very well be crazy, but you know, I digress, indeed-o. Yes. Fortunately, however, there is a quick way back to Saberman's tent because, well, if you recall, there is a warp pad pretty much right next door to it, so that's, you know, that makes things pretty damn easy, what can I tell you? And Saberman himself is going to have a well-deserved long rest and probably never wake up again, because I think this is pretty much the last appearance Saberman ever had. Like, I know there was a Saber Wolf game on the Game Boy Advance, but I don't think he's really turned up in any game after this, which is I don't know, I'm surprised they didn't try to reboot the whole Saberman thing. I don't know. But then again, modern Rareware hasn't really done much, have they, now that I think about it. I mean, I think the last big, proper, real game they made was Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts at the time of this recording, and, hoi, that went down well with the fans. Although, I actually like Nuts and Bolts. I probably don't like it enough to actually do a Let's Play on the game, but, you know, I think it's a fine game. I don't have the same contempt for the game as a lot of other people online might. Like, that game gets a lot of unfair flack, and in a way I kind of understand the game's unfair flack, because it is a Banjo-Kazooie game that plays nothing like a Banjo-Kazooie game. Like this Banjo-Kazooie game, it's all about collecting. The first one, it's all about collecting. Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, well, there's a bit of collecting, I suppose, but it's all about mini games and doing challenges and driving, which, you know, some people aren't going to be all that fond of. Like, I always consider Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts to be a pretty okay-ish game, but a pretty damn bad banjo game, you know, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, that's basically how I go about with it. It's a bad banjo game, but it's not the most terrible thing in the world in its own right. So, and that's generally how I tend to look at games anyway. I tend to look at them as their own individual products and not so much as, I don't tend to look at games as much as, like, oh, it's in this franchise, therefore it must adhere to this standard gameplay style, you know. Of course, I say that, but sometimes when things go so drastically away from the initial gameplay, it can be kind of bad. Like, I will be honest, like, exploring the main hub world of Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, for example, that's fun, because you don't really need the car to do that, and it's basically like playing in a classic banjo game, but I don't know, I'm sort of rambling at this point. What can I tell you, ladies and gentlemen? What can I tell you? Indeed! Yes. Anyway, now that we are back in Wumba's Wigwam by here, we actually have access to the brand new power we're going to be utilizing as Banjo-Kazooie, and basically this power here is the ability to turn into a snowball. It allows us to go and basically roll around at the speed of sound. Yes. Well, actually, it doesn't allow us to go at the speed of sound, but we can basically roll around relatively quickly with this snowball, and this snowball is quite an interesting gimmick. If we hold down the B button, obviously we speed up, because she just told us. But as you can tell, we have 1 hit point. As we roll about in the snow, we will actually gain size, and as we gain bigger size, we gain extra health. And the way I have to be careful of when we're actually using Snowball is we need to be careful of how we traverse the environment, because there's going to be certain hallways we can't get into unless we're small. And the problem is, there's certain collectibles we can only get if we are large. So we need to manage our, we basically need to manage our maneuverability around so we can push past this wind barrier, for example. And you need to be fat and massive to do this, but again, if you want to get through a crevice, you need to be tiny. How do you get tiny? Well, it's quite simple, really. You get hurt. The more you get hurt, the smaller you get. So you kind of need to play a game of risk, I suppose, with this one in order to properly explore this area as the snowball. What can I tell you, ladies and gentlemen? What can I tell you? Indeed. Yes. But generally, the snowball is a pretty damn awesome power-up, and honestly, I love this thing. It's neat. It's neat. And you might question, can you actually bring it into the lava side of Hailfire Peaks? Well, yes you can. And the problem with not the problem. Actually, yeah, it is a problem. The problem with bringing it into the lava side of Hailfire Peaks is, after a set amount of time, well, simply put, you will start dying. You will slowly lose health over time. But you can burn all of the fiery hands that are littered throughout the mountainside as well, so you know, you don't really need to worry too much about being a lava side. In fact, you only ever need to go in there once or twice just to get from one point of Hailfire Peaks to the other. You basically don't need to do much in there at all. But you do want to come across over here to hit this massive button, because this will activate the oil drill, and as you can probably guess, there's a fantastic Jiggy awaiting us inside. Yes. I just remember seeing this back in the day on the N64, and I used to be blown away by how good this looks graphically. Those were different times. It still looks pretty damn good today, if you forgive the N64 sort of blurriness and aliasing, but I digress. And as you can probably guess by the name of that Jiggy is actually inside Grunty's Industries, so, you know, it's another example of the game interconnecting all the worlds together in ways that make sense. You have a pipeline goes to Grunty's Industries, where you're going to be utilizing all the oil, because obviously this is Grunty's oil rig. You know, I don't know, it's just there's a lot of attention to detail in terms of how the worlds are structured and combined together, that I really do just love, you know, ladies and gentlemen. But I digress. Anyway, you might be wondering, how are the alien family still there? Because, well, simply put, we haven't actually caught all of them yet. We haven't collected all of the alien family just yet. There's one little alien baby littered about somewhere that, I will be picking up pretty much just one of the very, 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 very final things that I'll be picking up during the course of this, this world for the most part, you know, ladies and gentlemen. But we do need to go across this side by here of the snowy mountain because there is actually a train switch up here, and the train switch we can't hit by normal Banjo and Kazooie. It's too big, it's too rusted. We need to be something specifically super duper heavy. And that's where the snowball transformation comes in. We basically need to roll up this hill, eventually. It's a little bit tricky to do, I'll be perfectly honest. And, yeah, just lay the smash down on that button when we're of full size. What can I tell you, ladies and gentlemen? What can I tell you? Indeed. And if you recall, I think I did this anyway. I either did this or I'm about to do this. I used Gobi to my advantage to cool down Chuffy the train. Well, simply put, that's why we need to cool down Chuffy the train, because otherwise we cannot access the ice side, well, that specific part of the ice side of Hailfire Peaks, because the only way in and out of that area is through Chuffy the train. If you don't have Chuffy the train, well, there's no way in and out, and you're not gonna get the Jiggy that's locked inside. What can I tell you, ladies and gentlemen? What can I tell you? Indeed. Yes. By the way, if anyone's actually wondering how to get the final of the kids for the alien quest, we do need to split up from Banjo and Kazooie and just go Kazooie alone and basically send Kazooie to pretty much the top-ish area of the mountain for the most part, like walk her up a mountainside or something so she can glide from one end to the other. Because, well, it's the only real way to get real distance up here, isn't it? So just pop on up here, split Kazooie up, and walk on up to the top of the mountainside to glide and gain a good vantage point. And you do need to do this as well in order to get a Cheeto page that's located on one of the mountain tops up in Hailfire Peaks, which is, it's one of the more tricky, shall we say, it's one of the more tricky Cheeto pages to really find, especially your first time playing through the game, because, well, it's just a little bit awkward to find, because obviously it's on top of a mountain top, and, you know, it's very easy to not think, oh, I can go across there, I can glide across it. It's very easy not to do that. But before we do that, of course, we need to pop in here as Banjo, and obviously using his trusty, whatever ability this is called. I always forget the name of half of these moves. Sackback? Is that it? Is this Sackpack, or... I don't know, I guess that's a big issue when it comes to some of the abilities in this game, and it's mainly that I always forget the names of them. Like whenever I use Kazooie's Talon Trot ability, I usually refer to it as it's time to run. You know, I use it as a running ability. So I'm not very good at remembering the names. That's not against the game's naming conventions or anything, because the game actually does a good job with the naming. It's just I'm a pleb that can't remember shit. What can I tell you, ladies and gentlemen? What can I tell you? Indeed. Yes. But of course, we need to pop down here, like I said, to gain a good vantage point, and yeah. You know, I'm gonna be perfectly honest, I actually love that rendition of the Banjo-Kazooie theme song, when you have the suction cups. I don't know why, it sounds so mellow and chilled out, but I think it really does it because of the instruments. Like, when you use the ability, it has this sort of mwah, 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 and I don't know, I just love the way that sounds. It sounds pretty damn dope. What can I tell you? What can I tell you? Indeed. I don't even know what instrument that's meant to be. Like, all I know is it's something that goes mwah, 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 mwah. For all I know, it was Grant Kirkhope singing into a microphone making that noise, you know? And it won't be the first time something like that's a thing in this game series, because in Banjo-Kazooie 1, there was a... I can't no, not even Banjo-Kazooie 1, like even in this game, like Mayhem Temple is like little sound fonts, a mumbo jumbo going, come on, have a go. If you think you're hard enough, you know, it's got that like sound font to it in the background. But anyway, for this last alien baby, you do need to sit on its head and warm it up a little bit so it can go back to its parents, all nice and toasty like. You are done well, Earthling. I shall now have to exterminate you for taking so long. Bloody ungrateful, bloody alien. You see, this is why the aliens are never friendly with us in movies. Because they're just ungrateful pricks, aren't they? I mean, you help an alien race out and they threaten to exterminate you. I mean, that's... God, these people have no idea... Do they have no idea what manners are? Jesus. But anyway, that's the last we're going to be seeing of the alien family. They're done now for the most part. And with that, we have one other Jiggy all in the bag. What can I tell you, ladies and gentlemen? What can I tell you? Indeed. Yeah, so let's just switch on back to Banjo and Kazooie and head on down there to pick it up, shall we? I guess one thing as well that people may not like about this game is sometimes, like, this is a little minor pet peeve of mine, is sometimes the game will give you the Jiggy if you're far away from the Jiggy automatically in your inventory. But then there's other instances like this where you have to walk an extra little bit of a mile just to pick it up, and it's only a nitpick, but it's just something that really bugs me. I don't like having to I don't like the inconsistency there. It kind of bugs me. I don't know. But with that, we're pretty much almost done now with Hailfire Peaks. We just basically need one more well, not one more. Well, yeah, we have basically one more Jiggy left to go, and we're done with this place. Let's head into the train station and head to the Ice Side train station and see what the big hubbub is about. There's not really much of a hubbub at all. It's just... You go on the train, you go to the Ice Side, bada bing, bada boom. It's easy peasy, lemon squeezy. What can I tell you, ladies and gentlemen? But, yeah. Like, after you go to this Ice Side of Hailfire Peaks here, you will never need to go back there again. You know, ladies and gentlemen, it's one of those weird one-off areas of this game where you go there once, you pick up the Jiggy, then you leave, and you're done. You know, it's one of those weird instances which... I don't know, it's kind of a... It's a thing, I suppose. That's my official review of this area of the game. It's a thing. Stellar reviewer, aren't I? But, again, like I said previously, there is no way in and out of this area. You can only enter and exit this area from Chuffy the train. So, you know, if you want to explore this area other ways without using the train, well, the only other way I can imagine you getting in here is by glitching things out. And be careful, there is a Minjo there. Minjos are bad. I don't like Minjos. They can go die in a fire. Or in this case, die in a ice bath, I suppose, because it's a little bit more thematic. I digress. There we go. There is the final Jiggy of Hailfire Peaks. Done and dusted. Of course, we're not exactly 100% done with this level yet because we are missing a honeycomb piece, which I think I mentioned this when I walked past it. I was an idiot, and it's actually in the fire side of Hailfire Peaks, right up to the entrance to the top half of the ice side, where I just walked straight past it like a nonce. It's right by here. I mean, it's very... Well, to be honest, it's actually quite easy to miss, but it's very easy to find, you know, it's not one of those ones that... It's not a collectible I should have missed, considering I've done a test playthrough of this game just before recording this game in the first place, you know? I guess some things go through the gaps in my memory. But with that, that is basically it for Hailfire Peaks, bada bing, bada boom. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Don't be sheepish, people. And when we return next time, we'll be basically heading up. I think we're finishing up some backtracking, but we will be basically be on our way to heading to the final world of the game. We're almost done with this LP, ladies and gentlemen, so I hope you all are prepared. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Don't be sheepish, people. I'll catch you all then. Bye!